Hi everyone, good afternoon. I'm so sorry. I know there's been a massive delay, but there were some technical challenges, and the child in me is definitely very anxious, I think, with all the changes. But thank you for being patient and thank you for being here. My name is Sakshi. I'm a psychologist, and happy Children's Day to everyone. We're going to be talking about the inner child, which is personally a very exciting concept for me. And I think if the hosts are okay, maybe we can extend by 10 minutes at the end to make up for this time. I think
Absolutely, we can do that, Sakshi.
so. Whoever's here, we will still go through the workshop. I have some time after, so we'll extend the timing, make sure that we still make the most of this. All right. Okay. So just to start off, let's see if people want to put in the chat. Is the chat feature available for the participants? Hmm, right. People can maybe think about if your younger self could see you today, what would they be proud of? What would they be surprised by? Are there things that they had not expected, but now they know that this is happening? Yeah, so there are some things that you can think of. If your younger self could see you today, what would they be proud of? Yeah, would they be proud that you are following a particular career? Would they be proud of the developments you've made for yourself? Would they be proud of the way you've developed your personality, the friends you've made, the relationships you've made, the relationships with your family? So just think about this a little. And if you have your phone nearby, you can write it in your notes as well. Um, I don't know if there's any way to communicate these ideas with me, but that's all right. You can just write them with yourself. If your younger self could see you today, what would they be proud of? Right? Another question. What is something you used to do as a child, you used to do as a kid that you don't do anymore? Right? So I think personally for me, I have the first image there. So the thing I used to do the most was go to the park, go on the swings, and just have a really great time. I used to love being on the swing. Then as I grew up, I think two things happened. One, we started going to the park less, and then there were also weight limits on these swings. So, of course, after a certain age, you couldn't go on the swing, right? But this is something I want you to think about as well. So what is something you used to do as a kid that you maybe don't anymore, right? I'm just going to pause for a bit. I think I came in with a lot of urgency, but since we've gotten started now, I think I can pause for a bit and you can reflect. What is something you used to do as a kid that you don't do anymore? Huh? All right. I hope that you have at least one thing that you remember. It can be making a killa for Diwali, can be flying kites, can be playing with your friends, could be some video games. I remember I had done this workshop. Someone was talking about those cricket cards, Pokemon Go. So there's a lot that you might be doing as a kid that you don't anymore. All right. So I think we'll go to this concept of the inner child, right? I think a lot of people think that inner child is just something that is made up, or it's a random idea that people have just made for the sake of it. And not many people know that there is actually science behind the inner child. So we have I thought that I would explain that today for those of you who think that inner child is just something that has been created out of imagination. No, there's actual science, brain science behind the concept of the inner child, right? So if you all just take your hand, if you see my screen, take any one of your hand and close your thumb on your palm and then close your fingers on top of that thumb, right? So this is a good model of your brain. All right, so we are going to just use this model to understand what is the inner child, right? So this is your brain as of now. The top part, the top four fingers, we are going to call the adult, right? So in the diagram in front of you also, you can see that these four are highlighted. That is the prefrontal cortex in very fancy scientific words, but we'll call it the adult. It has a lot of logic. It can think, it can pay attention, it knows how to remain calm, right? So we have this adult here. Then your thumb is the amygdala in scientific words, but for our purposes, this is your child, right? Because it reacts emotionally, it reacts from your body. So anytime, let's say, you have an important project deadline, right? And you start feeling a little anxious, your prefrontal cortex is trying to solve the problem, right? Is trying to go to all the solutions that I should do this, I should do that. That's what the adult is doing. The kid is just terrified, right? You're inside, you might experience in your body just feeling terrified, feeling anxious, feeling scared. And that is what the kid is doing. The kid is reacting, right? So we have this here as well. Just the child brain or this kid part of your brain, it stores emotional memories from birth, right? It stores a lot of emotional memories. Some of them you might be aware of, some of them you might not remember anymore, but they're all there in your body. It reacts very quickly to triggers. It does not take a moment to think, it just reacts quickly, and it doesn't know always what is real, what is true, right? So this child brain is the brain that makes you jump back if a car comes. It's the one that reacts extremely quickly, right? Or if you place your hand on something very hot for a second, that quick reflex that you get, that is from the child brain, right? It doesn't have time to think, it's just reacting quickly from the emotional storage of memories that it has, right? And the adult brain, this part of your brain, is the logical one. It can reason, it can soothe yourself, it can stay grounded, and it can help us respond instead of react. So when you're able to take a minute, a pause, and decide that I want to respond this way, that is when the adult brain comes into the picture, right? So when you're normal, everything's fine, the adult and child are talking to each other, right? So you are generally in consensus and you feel a bit balanced. But like it's written here at the bottom, when we are stressed, the child brain can completely take over, right? This switch flips, adult brain goes offline. So that's why a lot of times, if you're triggered, if you're stressed, you sometimes think later, why did I do that? Why did I say that? I could have done this, I could have done that, right? So you have a lot of regrets sometimes. And that is because the child brain takes over at the point. Yeah, so I know this sounds a bit heavy, sciencey, but I wanted to include this to show you that every one of us who has a brain has this child part in your brain. So it's not possible that someone doesn't have an inner child or a child brain. It is there inside of you, and it actually helps you also in some moments. Right? We'll have some time for questions at the end. So if any of this is feeling too confusing or anything, you can just make a note of it and then let me know. All right. So another question that I get a lot is, okay, yes, there is an inner child. If we agree with that, how do we recognize? How do we recognize that this is my inner child and this is the adult, right? So when you're, these are some pointers that I thought of, but this can be very, very individual to every single person. So when your inner child shows up, you might notice that you feel it first in the body, right? So maybe there's a tight chest, maybe, just before you cry, you have that feeling in your throat, so that lump in your throat. For some people, it's a lot of restlessness. For some people, you can start feeling teary-eyed. For some people, you feel it in your stomach, like it clenches up as if there's this wide thing pushing you inside. So inner child, usually you feel it first in your body, right? Secondly, if your inner child is present, your emotions feel very raw, right? They might feel too much for the situation, that they don't make sense for the situation. It might be that your inner child is there. It's hard to find words to articulate. Why? Because, like I said, the logic goes offline. So the adult has gone offline. So it can be really hard to explain what is happening. That can be a sign that your inner child is very dominating. So you just feel maybe small, you might feel unseen, so all these feelings, these raw feelings might come from an inner child. Okay, there's a possibility that there's some kind of longing, right? For example, a longing for care, a longing for someone being there for me, a longing for love, a longing for someone accepting me. So there are so many types, right? But if there's this really deep longing, then it might be the inner child. Then my favorite way of differentiating this for clients or for myself is this thing called gut feeling. Sometimes I ask clients that just forget your logic, just forget your adult. Let's just fill in the blanks with your gut feeling, right? So when we do that, that instinctive thing that comes up, that's often your inner child. That's often the part that comes out when we term it gut feeling, right? And the inner child thinks in absolutes that it's not possible, no one's going to care, I always mess up, they'll leave for sure, right? So if your thoughts have a lot of always, never, guaranteed this will happen, there's no way this will happen, right? So a lot of absolutes, that's where inner child might be. Okay. I want to say here that it is very messy. Okay. It is not that clear cut sometimes, and that's okay. We are human. So, and we are learning about this for the first time. So it can feel very messy. You still might have a lot of questions that, yeah, but sometimes I get anxious. I might be an adult. I might be in the child mode. That's okay. Sometimes both will be present because they are all inside your body. So we're just learning right now to notice. And I have a few activities that we'll do that will maybe help you refine this lens a little bit more. Right. So it's okay if it feels very messy right now and it feels like I don't know how to separate out inner child. You can keep these a few things in your mind, especially the gut feeling one and the body one, and those can really help you just point you in that direction. All right. Okay. Right. So let's do an activity together. Yeah. So I know this is a webinar, so I might not be able to see you, but let's try and do this together. Right. So I want you to sit relaxed wherever you are. Just sit back. If you're on a chair, sit back. If you're on a bed, just see if you can rest your back somewhere. See if your body feels comfortable. See if you want to change the temperature a bit. You want to increase or decrease the fan speed. I don't know how cold it is there as of now. Yeah. So I want you to just get really comfortable, relax your muscles if you can. Muscles in your shoulders, in your arms, so we can relax those, right? And just close your eyes, be comfortable. And I want you to think of the younger version of you, right? You might have maybe seen some pictures. If not, that's also okay. But maybe anywhere from 5 years old to 15 years old, whatever you can imagine. I just want you to imagine that younger version of you, right? If you have a picture that you've seen really often, you can use that as reference. It sometimes gets easier when we have something tangible, right? So use that as a reference and you can think about the younger version of you. Yeah. Now, to help you just gel it out a bit more, I'm just going to ask a few questions, a few prompts. So I just want you to try answering that in your mind. Yeah. So as you're looking at this younger version of you, what are they wearing? What are they wearing in this particular imagination? Yeah. Is it a frock? Is it t-shirt, shorts? Yeah. What color are they wearing? Pink, black, blue? Yeah. How is their hair? Is it all cut? Is it very short? Yeah. So, yeah, someone's put in the chat that they are imagining a school uniform. Absolutely. Right. So, try imagining this kid version of you. Yeah. They might be wearing these things. Yeah. See if you can see their face. See if you can see their eyes. How are they feeling in this particular visualization? Are they happy, excited? Are they sad, irritated, crying, angry? Yeah, surprised. Just become curious about this child version of you. Yeah, how are they doing in this particular visualization that you have? Right? Think about it. Flesh it out a little bit more and see if you can feel anything towards this child. As you're imagining this child, see if you can feel anything towards this child. So you might feel care for them, you might feel love for them, you might feel angry at them for some reason. That's okay. You might feel proud of them. Yeah. You might feel sad for them. Anything that's coming to you, see what you are feeling for this child version of you right there. Right? See if they need anything from you in your visualization. See if you would want to give them a hug, just shake their hands, give them a high five, maybe. Yeah, so I'm hoping that there is some little bit concrete visualization of this inner child in you, right? And if you're feeling okay, if you feel it's okay to leave them now and come back to the webinar, you can just say that, okay, I'll meet you soon. Yeah, they're still going to be around for the rest of the webinar because we need some answers from them. But you can just say that, okay, I'll come back to you soon and come back to the webinar. Mhm. All right. So as we are doing this, we are now going to just become curious about these things, right? Let's, you can, if you want, put it in the chat, but if not, you can maybe think about this for yourself, right? So think about 3 words to describe your younger self. Okay, what are we doing right now? We're trying to flesh this out as much as possible. We're trying to make it as detailed as possible so that it's easy for you to access this inner child version of you, right? So, 3 words to describe your younger self. I want you to really think of these. If you feel okay, you can share as well. Or you can think of these 3 words. They can be adjectives like carefree, responsible, smiling, happy, sad, jolly, mischievous, badmash. Yeah, it doesn't have to be English. Can be whatever language feels close to you as a child. But I want you to write 3 words that describe your younger self. Yeah, all right. Second thing I want you to think about is what did this child need to hear that they didn't? Okay. This is often a little hard to think about, and this is the part where it gets a little tough, a little tricky, a little vulnerable for ourselves. But this you don't have to share. Just think about it for yourself. What did this child really need to hear that they didn't? Yeah. Was it, you don't have to grow up so quickly? Was it, I'm here for you? Yeah, someone saying in the chat, come, let's eat together. That's so important. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, so what did this child need to hear that they didn't? And this is a very important question, right? Throughout this webinar, if you don't take anything else, take this question. What did the child need to hear? Yeah, someone saying in the chat, you are the best. Absolutely. Amazing. Just take some time with this question. What did the child need to hear that they really didn't? It's okay. Someone saying, I can't think of anything. It's okay. If you can't think of anything, that's fine. If you're doing this for the first time, it can feel really weird. You can think about it at your own time. Right? What did they need to hear? Sometimes they needed to just be made to feel safe. They didn't really need to hear any words. Right? For some people, some children have taken up a lot of responsibility, have grown up too quickly, didn't get the chance to be a child or a kid. Someone saying appreciation or praise for good work, right? So for yourself, you can put a hand on your chest like this also. That often helps us to reflect, just helps us to ground a bit. But this takes a little bit of practice, so don't feel discouraged that I can't think of anything right now. What is happening? Right? So you can take your time, but there's a very important question to think about. It's also a great journaling prompt, right? So if you feel like just thinking about it is very difficult, you can make it a journaling prompt today, right? For Children's Day, since we are talking about our inner child, you can write down what did I need to hear as a kid that I didn't hear at the time. But this is a very important question because it will take you to your inner needs. Yeah, so we'll maybe touch upon that a little bit, but this is extremely important as a question to think about. Okay. All right. So now, why I have the third question here, right, is because the second question can get a little bit heavy, right? You can feel a bit sad for your childhood. You can feel a bit angry, anxious as well. So think about the third question now. Ki what was this kid's happiest memory? As a child, what is a memory that they like you have not forgotten? As a kid, you were really happy there, right? Someone saying in the chat, I'm proud of you. Please remain alive. Don't get lost between the adults and be yourself. That's so beautiful. Yeah, someone saying, yes, there is a lump in my throat. Yeah, it's very, very natural. Remember, we talked about inner child comes up in your body first. So become very mindful of what's happening in your body as you're thinking about these things. Yeah, some of you may even have tears. That's okay, right? You're getting in touch with this child for the first time, right? So there's a lump in someone's throat. Okay, happiest memory, someone saying playing together. Yeah, I think a lot of childhood memories are linked to play for a lot of people, right? But these are three questions. You can maybe take a picture of this or something, write them down if you want to. But these are three questions you can ask yourself more often, yeah, to get to really know your younger self. All right. We did a visualization, but for some people, it's hard to visualize. I think for me personally, it's hard for me to actually visualize and stay focused on that. My mind keeps getting distracted. So if you are someone like me, you can you can ask your family or see if you have any picture of you from childhood, keep that in front of you, and then you can reflect on these questions. Having that picture really helps. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead. I'm hoping that we're doing okay. If things get too overwhelming, feel free to just move away from the screen, come back when it feels okay. Right? It is possible that some of these things might feel a bit tough. Yeah. So our why is it important to think so much about our inner child, right? Tha, I was a child, ho gaya. Why are we thinking so much about it? Because it shapes us. It shapes us professionally, personally, especially in interpersonal relationships. So, any romantic relationships, friendships, family relationships, any relationships, your inner child is playing a big, big role. Even in your professional workplace, your inner child is quietly shaping your personality, your decisions. Yeah. So, I've just written some very common examples here. Yeah, this can be connected to what your child needed to hear that they didn't at the time. This can be connected to that. So you can just think about this for yourself. Some examples here, right? A child who did not feel seen or they felt neglected, maybe, right? In the past, they might have had a strategy that I will just perform as much as I can. I will get full marks. I will explain myself too much, right? Because that was the child's strategy to feel seen in some way or to feel love in some way, right? As an adult, seen, love, all of this, it's okay if we don't get it. We are able to tolerate that feeling. As a child, it is absolutely not okay for a child to feel not seen, not loved, right? For a child, it starts feeling threatening. Oh, shit, I'm not getting any love. I'm not getting. So they develop strategies to get what they need. And these strategies might be there till now, right? They might not work out now, but I want you to think of what your strategies are. So here, a child who was scolded for emotions now in the present may suppress feelings because for them, expressing feelings is not safe. Yeah. A child who felt responsible, very responsible earlier, they had to take up the responsibility of a lot of things. They were very, very mature very early. They might really struggle to now rest, right? So if you're someone who feels really guilty while resting, this might be something you can think about, that as a child, were you allowed to rest? What was happening for you? Maybe your child needed to hear that you can rest. It's okay to rest, right? So this is something that can help you a little bit more on maybe what the child needed to hear. All right. So now what do we do with this, right? We have this child, we have visualized it, we have seen what they are needing, what they are feeling, right? So how do we heal it, quote unquote, right? You remember the adult part that we have, the logical part that we have. We reparent, it's a fancy word, but we become the parent that we needed for the child inside us, right? I am not blaming any family members, any of your parents, caregivers. They did the best with whatever they knew, right? But sometimes kids can still feel the impact of the childhood that you've had, right? So I'm not blaming any of your parents, or even if you have kids, I'm sure this must create some kind of anxiety that, okay, shit, I have to really show a lot of love and care to my children. As long as your intentions are good, there will be some impacts maybe, but that's okay, right? You can be a good enough parent. You don't have to be the best parent in the world to for your kid to feel all this. All right. So we have these internal voices, right? The child voice, which we are right now talking to till now. And then we have the adult voice, which is what helps us function every day, right? It helps us function with work, it helps us function with all our responsibilities. So healing happens when they talk to each other, right? So when the adult inside you talks to the child inside you instead of dismissing it. A lot of us, even me at some point, used to dismiss the child that, ah, no, I shouldn't feel anxious right now. No, I shouldn't need so much support. I shouldn't need love. I shouldn't need care. So the adult inside is dismissing the child that don't speak about this. Why are you doing this, that, right? So on the right, we have some statements, right? I'm going to stop talking for 2 minutes. I think it's 5:18, right? I'm going to stop talking for 2 minutes and I want you to really, you can take your phone notes, that's okay. I want you to write a few lines from your adult to your child self. Yeah, I've written 3 starting sentences. Just complete those sentences. That's all. Okay, so we have dear younger me. You can also write your own name. So for me, it would be dear Sakshi. I see that you were whatever comes up for you. Again, keep this gut feeling. Don't think too much about it. Don't logically analyze it too much. Dear younger me, I see that you were. Okay. I want you to know that now you're safe to blah, blah, blah. Whatever feels important to fill in here, you can. And what I admire about you is, okay, so as an adult, what you admire about this younger version of yourself is, right? So I'm going to shut up for 2 minutes. 5:21 will come back. So just for 2 minutes, take some time and write these few lines down. Huh? And you can put in the chat if you have any questions. I'm here to answer them. I'm not going anywhere. Uh, just take some time and write it down. Dear younger me, I see that you were. I want you to know that now you're safe too. And what I admire about you is. Mhm. Once you're done, just do me a favor, maybe put a yes in the chat or just put a thumb reaction. So I know that some of you are done with writing. Okay, there are 2 yeses in the chat. Yeah, if it feels too much, too overwhelming, you can take a breather, you can take a pause in between. That's absolutely fine. All of this can bring up some emotions that might be buried inside. Mhm. Once you're done writing, just give me a thumbs up, yes, in the chat, anything. All right. Now just waiting for 1 more minute to see if there's any more yes or any thumbs up reactions. I hope you're all there here with me. All right. Okay. Again, this is something you can take a picture of. Um, you can journal about this like once a week to stay in touch with this inner child. Yeah, it can be difficult. You can combine this with the activity before, where you can have a picture of you, a childhood picture of you in front, and then write these lines, right? It can feel really healing. Okay, so we'll move on. Now I want you to think about, now that you've thought about the needs this child has. Yeah, let's look at what would reparenting look like in very small steps. Yeah. So we're going to look at very small steps for you. I have just given examples here. I want you to think about your child's needs, what your child needed to hear, what you admire about your child, right? And think about that. Some examples that I've put here, they have to be very small and realistic, right? So one example is speaking gently to myself after a mistake, right? So if as a kid, um, you were never spoken gently to after a mistake, maybe that's something you can do for yourself, right? Or taking a 5-minute pause when I feel overwhelmed. So instead of scolding yourself for being overwhelmed, you take a 5-minute pause, right? You're being a very nurturing parent to the child inside you, allowing play, creativity, or rest, even if it feels unproductive. This is extremely common, right? So, this is also a great way of reparenting in very small, some realistic steps, right? Can you think of any examples for yourself? Would you like to put them in the chat if you're comfortable? Right? Think about what the child inside you needs and think about what you can do for that child. Yeah. Can also be hugging yourself, can be some self-care kind of activities that for the child, I'm just going to go to the park and skip around for 5 minutes, no matter what people around me say. For the child, I'm going to bring out my coloring book after 30 years and now I'm going to color every day for 5 minutes. Yeah, so these are just some examples. I will eat slowly and as much as I want, can be a reparenting act, right? So just think about what would work for you. You can also choose out of these three you can see on the screen. Someone is saying start cooking. Absolutely. Someone is saying reiterate that you did your best at each situation. That's also beautiful. Yeah, so there's a lot you can think about. It's a very wide topic, right? And this is usually I would do this whatever content I've put in this workshop, I would usually do that across maybe 9, 10 sessions for an individual therapy client. but I wanted to give a brief idea of what you can do. Okay, so think about something small, realistic that you can do every day for the child inside you. Yeah. These are 3 steps that I've just put in. We have already talked about these things. Okay, someone's put in the chat explaining to myself that I don't need to be someone just to be seen or loved. That's also very beautiful. So the child has a need for unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, right? So someone is saying that that's a beautiful way to reparent, that you don't need to be someone to be loved or seen. Absolutely. Huh? So we've just put this in 3 steps, ACR, so that it's easy to remember. Awareness is noting when the inner child is activated. So this is always the first step. If this is your first ever time talking about or learning about inner child, I would recommend start here at awareness, right? So what I want you to do in this case is just start noticing when your inner child is coming up, right? So like I talked about the body, start noticing what are the moments when the inner child comes up, when you start feeling maybe anxious, jittery, lump in your throat. What are the moments? Is it a fight with your partner? Is it someone criticizing you? Is it you making a mistake? Yeah, so just start noticing, just start becoming aware. Name it for yourself ki, okay, my inner child is coming up right now. Yeah, you can give your inner child a name also to make it easier. So what I do with a lot of clients, we just call it a little version. So if my name is Sakshi, I call it young Sakshi or little Sakshi or baby Sakshi, whatever feels good to you. Right? So start naming it for yourself. Ki, okay, my inner child is coming out right now. This is what it's like in my body. That's a great starting point for healing your inner child. Just becoming aware that this is happening. Yeah. Second step, once you start becoming aware, once you're able to notice all the time that, okay, my inner child is coming up, then you go to compassion. So you start responding very gently to that part of you, as if your adult is talking to your child, right? So you think about everything you've spoken about in terms of reparenting. That is the first part of that is compassion, right? That you have to feel kind. You can't be critical to your child. Think about how you are with your child right now. So the second step is compassion, and the ultimate third step is repair, right? And multiple times. All of these steps cannot be done just one time, right? Think about how the child has developed. However old you are, that's how long it's been going through the same thing. So to repair, you will need to do this multiple times. Whatever reparenting strategy you have chosen, you will have to do it day in, day out to help the child inside you trust that this is also possible, right? So repair means giving yourself what you needed then. Okay, so again, answering that fundamental question, what did your child need that it did not receive? So safety, permission to rest, love, whatever it is, that's the ultimate step. So awareness, compassion, repair. This combination is a great way to get into healing the inner child. All right. Lastly, I will bring in a little bit of science. So I know it's 5:30, maybe I'll go on for 5 more minutes because I was late due to some technical issues. So we'll maybe talk for 5 more minutes and then we'll open it up for questions. Any questions that you have, you can put in the chat and I'd be happy to answer them. All right. So I think it's important to know about the science here so that it doesn't feel like we're talking about this vague concept. Um, there is actual science to this, okay? So neuroplasticity, again, fancy biological word, but what it basically means is that our neurons can shift, okay? Our neurons are going on a certain path, they are wired a certain way, they can be rewired. This ability that they can be rewired is called neuroplasticity, right? So I want you to imagine this. If you've seen the song Tujhe Dekha To Ye Jana Sanam, there's this yellow field of tall grass. So imagine a lot of tall grass like that, right? And imagine that for a long time, however old you are, if you're 30 years old, for 30 years, you've been walking one path in that tall grass, right? You've been walking one path. So that path has now, the grass has flattened. It's become a path that's easy to go on, right? Now, when you're reparenting yourself, you're slowly walking on a new path through all this tall grass. So that is a bit difficult to do, of course, because it's not something you're used to. So it'll take a little bit more effort. But the more you go on this new path, the more you have a new response, the more it starts getting integrated inside you, right? So sometimes it's okay, you'll slip on the first path because it's easier to do that, but have some patience with yourself. It is possible to go on this new path, right? So let's say this um chain that we have in front of us, we have a trigger, right? So, for example, the trigger might be someone criticizing me, right? For me, that used to be a trigger for my inner child, that someone criticizing me, right? So, my old reaction was my adult criticizing my child also, that, see, you can't even do this. Why didn't you do this? So, this self critical voice going on, this was my old reaction. Okay, so what happened? I got a trigger and I went easily down on the path that I've been going for years. Right? Now, how do we do the healing using neuroplasticity? Even if we go down the old path, we just take a pause, right? We take a pause and we go through awareness. Ki, oh, okay, wait. I think my inner child is coming out. I think my child is out because I was feeling criticized. Right? So, my new response would be awareness, then compassion, that okay, it's okay that we made a mistake, that's absolutely fine, right? So I did awareness, I did compassion, and then repair. Okay, what I needed to hear, that I didn't hear, is that it's okay to make a mistake, it's absolutely fine, you're human, it's fine that you've made a mistake, right? So this ACR becomes my new response to this trigger. Okay, so once I have that new response, the more I do this new response, the more that gets wired to become automatic. Right? Does that make sense? Can you just give me a thumbs up if this has not gone over your head and it's actually gone inside? Yeah, that how we are using the brain, how we are using neuroplasticity to actually heal the inner child, to actually use this to our benefit. Love it. Thanks for all those reactions. I really miss seeing, I think, faces. But I hope this makes sense to you. You can also read up a little bit about neuroplasticity. But if you remember the tall grass example, that's okay. Yeah, and why I'm talking about this specifically, because a lot of us get really demotivated even if once we go back on the old reaction. But it's very natural. It's not possible that overnight you'll just go to a new response and then every time you will go to the new response. Sometimes it's you are going to go to the old reaction. But if you can pause, say that, okay, yes, this was my old reaction. What do I want to do now? Right? Imagine tall grass. Imagine how much effort it is taking for you to have this new wiring, new response. And then you can use that as some kind of hope for your inner child, right? Um, I think while just before ending, I'd like you to write just one message for your inner child. Anything, it can be anything from the previous exercises. One thing I want you to write to your inner child and say Happy Children's Day at the end of that. Yeah, see if you can do that. Anything from today, whatever we've gone through, right? So we went through what the adult can say to the child, what the child needed, happiest memory of the child, 3 ways to describe your child, right? Anything, one thing that you want to say to your inner child, and say Happy Children's Day. See if you can put it in the chat. I can read some out loud if I get them. That something you really want to say to your inner child, and a Happy Children's Day at the end of that. See if you'll be able to do that. Yeah, just waiting for a bit, seeing if anyone's putting anything in the chat. It's okay to make mistakes. Happy Children's Day. Do not fear Happy Children's Day. Um, you have come a long way. Happy Children's Day. Just be yourself. All will be fine. Absolutely. These are so beautiful. right? Write these down somewhere. Be confident and move fearlessly through everything, okay? I'd love for you to write these down, yeah, and have them where you can actually access them. Make it your phone wallpaper for 1 or 2 days, whatever you have written in the chat, right? Absolutely. These are so beautiful. Anything else? Anyone wants to say? No? You're precious, and I will see you again. Happy Children's Day. Love you always. That's also very, very sweet. Yeah. And this reminds me, yes, go see that inner child again, the one that you visualized. Go see them, keep in touch with them. Happy Children's Day, buddy. You have come a long way. Just remember you were loved. You are loved. Yeah. Don't keep it past tense. You are loved. I love you, inner child, and I'm with you always. Happy Children's Day. Thank you, and I love you. Happy Children's Day. You go, girl. Be fearless. I'm loving these so much. I cannot tell you how warm my heart is to see these. I want you to know that now you're safe to explore boldly, share your ideas confidently, and take pride in how far your persistence have brought you. You no longer have to prove yourself, right? So these are so beautiful, and I'm sure even hearing these, you're feeling warm and nice. But your child needs to hear these things more often. Say it to them every day. Meet them more often. You did pretty well. Happy Children's Day. Yeah. So say these things to your child. Meet them. Just go to say hi, even if they're not triggered. You can just be in touch with them, meet them a bit, and send me any if you want, if you have any questions, you can always share an email and I can answer them with answers about your inner child, right? So I'm open to questions now. Please put your questions in the chat. Again, thank you so much, those who stayed back and were actually patient with. I was having a lot of issues with my Zoom, but please put in your questions in the chat. Any questions? I'm happy to take them.
I see that a few of them have raised their hands, so we'd request you to put it in the chat box.
Okay. Yeah, please put it in the chat box. I'll read them, answer them. Love the analogy. Thank you. Thank you so much. Please share your questions in the chat. What if you have more voices than your child self? For example, teenage self, adolescent self, and grumpy old self. That's a very, very beautiful question. And it is important to think about, right? Sometimes you might have more voices and you can, it's funny to think about this way, but you can have a roundtable conference of all these voices and make sure they're talking to each other. A lot of times in your teenage self, adolescent self, you will find ultimately that child self with your core needs. But this is you can read about this concept called IFS. I put it in the chat. It's called internal family systems. So you can, okay, I've put it to hosts and panelists. 1 second. But you can, IFS. Yeah, so you can read about internal family systems that can give you a good idea about how to deal with these different parts of ourselves and what we can do about it. Yeah, someone has said grumpy old self, always guilty about it. But that's an excellent question. For a lot of people, we do feel more parts of us, not just the child and adult. Very good question. Yeah. Anything else anyone's curious about? Yeah. Anything else? I'm up for questions. I think we can do this till 5:45 because I think that's only fair for everyone since we were 15 minutes late. When is the next session? I think IMT Care can answer.
Yeah.
Someone has put that in the chat. It often happens in the middle of the day where I find myself questioning everything that I do. I feel I should have done it in a different way when I was a child. How to deal with that? All right. So I think if I'm understanding correctly, there are some maybe regrets, or you think about some different ways that you could do things as a child, right? It's understandable for us to have that reaction, but we have to understand that as a child, we did the best with the information we had at the time, with the resources we had at the time. All right. As a child, we do not have that many resources. As an adult, we have resources, we have support systems, we have language, words, we have independence, maybe a little bit. So we have a lot more resources to deal with things. So be compassionate to the child and believe that with the information that your child had at whatever point in time, it did the absolute best with that information. Yeah. Has that answered your question? Okay. All right. Glad to know that that has answered your question. Thanks, Vasant. Thanks, Manjunath, for this lovely feedback. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions? I think I would also like to add, which I forgot to say in the workshop, is you don't have to speak in English with your child. A lot of us find it more comfortable in our mother tongue, right? So if it's Hindi, Marathi, Bengali, Gujarati, whatever the child is most comfortable with, you can switch to that language. It might feel a little bit more personal, right? Obviously, this was in English because we want to make it accessible, but you can talk to your inner child in whatever language feels comfortable to you. Any tips for young parents to keep parenting authentic? Right. So I know that one of the side effects of doing a workshop like this is that parents start feeling some anxiety that our children will also have our impact. So I think one thing that I will say for sure is a concept called good enough parent. Right. There is a concept of good enough parent. You don't need to be a perfect parent. You can be good enough. It's actually important for children to feel disappointed by you, because then they are able to feel disappointment. As long as you make repairs to whatever ruptures happen, if you discuss with the child, if you apologize to the child, right, and create some repair after whatever has happened, it's okay. I don't want you to put pressure on yourself as parents. There is research that being a good enough parent is better than being a perfect parent, because good enough parents also help the kids learn about disappointment and anger and sadness and conflict and all of these things. Yeah. I don't know if that reassures you a little bit, but mhm, that was helpful. Is it possible to run the first parts of the slides? I missed the first 20 minutes. I think this is recorded. So, will this recording be uploaded
Yes,
somewhere?
yes, this session is recorded. It will be shared.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I hope that's okay for the someone who's missed the first 20 minutes. The recording will be shared. Okay. Right. I think there are no more questions if I'm not wrong. If there are any, please feel free to email me. I prefer email. I see my texts less a little. So if you're emailing me, it's more likely you will get a response. Okay. Okay. Why do we tend to project our childhood experiences onto our child and ask them to act a certain way? That's a very, very loaded, nuanced question. I don't think I'll be able to answer it in one line. But I'll just say it's great that you're being curious about this. You can send me an email. I'll maybe answer in a detailed way or send you an article. I just don't think I'd be able to do it justice in a couple of minutes. Okay, thanks. Okay. How to forgive the child for wrongdoings? Like I answered the previous question, understanding that the child did what it thought was best at the time with the information that it had, the resources that it had. You have to develop an understanding and compassion that you have more resources now as an adult. The child did not. The child did not have any logic as well. And logic develops completely after 12 years old. After we are 12 years old. So before that, children don't have that much logic. They're running purely on emotions. Right? So I think this kind of information can help you forgive the child inside you. Hopefully. And your children. If you're a parent, your children as well. If they're under 12, know that their logic is not working at 100%. Okay. All right. Are you here, Sharon?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think, for all of us, Sakshi has gone through and answered all the questions. We missed introducing her, but Sakshi has had in the past really wonderful and, interactive sessions with us. And this time also, she has definitely helped us all, to connect with the inner child in us. Sakshi, your session was really fun. It was something that helped us connect, even for me personally. And I think I'm talking on behalf of everyone here. So the session is a great success. And thank you so much for helping us reconnect. And thank you everyone also for being patient with us since we were a little late.
Yeah, and maybe I don't know how the logistics would work of this.
Yeah.
But maybe if you have a recording and people who maybe have registered but couldn't wait, maybe they could be sent.
Yeah, sure. Yes, yes. That will be shared. The recordings are there. It will be shared with the participants.
All right.
Yeah.
So hopefully should be fine. Okay.
Great then. Happy Children's Day to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, do something for that child today. One thing do for the child. Yeah. Those who are asking for books, again, please email me. It's easier for me to do that on email. All right. Okay, then.
Great. Yeah.
We need to close.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Sakshi.
Okay, bye.
Bye.